Good morning, class. As we are preparing to complete our research assignments, I want to discuss something very important I would like you to keep in mind. Today we are going to be discussing the terminology used when talking about copyright laws. Please make sure to take note of the important vocabulary given to you throughout this presentation. The terms that are most important have been bolded to make it easier to determine what I am wanting you to take note of. First, let's talk about the objectives that will be obtained through this lesson. By the end of this lesson, students will be able to identify and demonstrate their knowledge of copyright rules. The students will practice safe, responsible, legal, and ethical behavior while using digital tools and resources. The student is expected to abide by copyright laws and the fair use guidelines for educational multimedia, and comply with fair use guidelines and digital safety rules. Let's start with the basic question of what does copyright mean? It refers to the legal rights to an original work. This sets the conditions under which anyone may copy in whole or part original works transmittable in any medium. Without these laws, writers, artists, and media producers would not receive the compensation they deserve for their creation. We are going to be discussing several vocabulary words that you need to be aware of when dealing with copyright laws. Fair use allows the use of information in special circumstances without having to ask permission. This often provides an important copyright exception for teachers and students. Small portions of copyrighted work may be used in teaching if properly cited and noted that they are copyrighted and by whom. There are 4 basic criteria for fair use. First is that of purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is for nonprofit educational purposes rather than a commercial nature. Using a copyrighted work for an educational objective is more likely to be considered fair use than using it for commercial gain or entertainment. Second is the nature of the copyrighted work. If the work is for a general readership, such as a magazine or periodical not specifically designed for education, it tends to support fair use in the classroom. Works of an entertainment nature, such as movies or music, are less likely to be considered fair use. Third is the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole. Using a smaller amount of the total work is more likely to be considered fair use than using a large amount. Finally, the effect of the use of the potential market for or value of the copyrighted work. Use that negatively affects potential sales of the original work weighs against fair use. Next is the term public domain. This is work that belongs to everyone and may be used freely. This often refers to materials in which copyright protection has run out or materials produced by federal government employees in the course of their regular work. Here are some other vocabulary words to keep in mind when talking about copyright laws. The first is ethics. Ethics is when we think or deal with what is right or wrong. The second is legal. Legal means it is permitted by law. The third is paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is to reword something written or spoken by someone else. When you are using someone else's work, it is best to paraphrase their work instead of copy word for word. Here are some negative terms that go along with copyright laws. The first is infringement. Infringement is when someone breaks any of the copyright laws. The second is piracy. Piracy is using a book, recording, television program, or invention without having permission. The third is plagiarism. Plagiarism is the practice of taking someone else's work or ideas and passing them off as your own. Now that we know the basics with copyright laws, let's put what we know to use. We are going to go through some scenarios and determine whether it is legal or illegal usage of the material. I want you to talk to your neighbor and discuss these scenarios. Make sure to explain your answer. Here's the first scenario. Susan is finished writing her research paper. She thought the author of the books she used had a lot of great ideas, so she just used those in her paper, but never referenced the book or author in her paper. Is she using the material legally, or is this considered to be illegal usage? I will give you a moment to talk with your partner. If you said illegal, you would be correct. Susan is plagiarizing the work she copied by not stating where it came from. Here's the second scenario. Chris is writing a paper about his favorite baseball player, Elvis Andrus. Throughout his paper, he includes several direct quotes from Andrus. Chris puts all of the direct quotes in quotation marks and properly cites all of his sources. When he is finished with his paper, he then adds a reference page as the last page of his assignment. Talk with your neighbor whether this is legal or illegal usage. Support your answer. I will give you a moment to discuss with your partner. If you said that Chris was using the work legally, you would be correct. He took all the measures he should have following copyright laws. Here's a third scenario. Samantha has just bought the latest hip-hop CD. Samantha's friend wants the CD, and she decides to copy the CD so that she can give her friend their own copy. Talk with your neighbor whether this is legal or illegal usage. Support your answer. I will give you a moment to discuss with your partner. If you said that Samantha is showing illegal usage of material, you would be correct. You are not allowed to copy CDs for friends. They need to purchase it themselves. Here's a final scenario. Jessica has just finished writing her poem from English class. She searches the web to find a picture of a dog to add to her Word document. She copies and pastes the picture to her finished paper. Talk with your neighbor whether this is legal or illegal usage. Support your answer. I will give you a moment to discuss with your partner. If you said that Jessica is using the picture illegally, you would be correct. She still needs to cite where she found the picture to give the original artist the credit. I know that we have talked about a lot of information and it can get confusing. In most cases, it is best to be safe than sorry. If it is not your original work, tell your audience where you got the information. Here are two websites that can help you out in citing your sources for your research project. The first link is for Purdue OWL. It helps you understand how to cite your sources. The second link is for Citation Machine. It will create citations for you if you have the required information. Here are the references used to complete this presentation. Now you will be completing a handout. You may use your notes you took during the presentation to complete the handout.